does it make you afraid sometimes about the fact that one day AI, like intelligence, artificial intelligence, could be, could hurt us, or like, because we're, because of Hollywood, of course, the movies we watch, but it seems like when I hear sometimes Elon Musk talking, like,
Yeah, so Elon talks about with AI, we're summoning the demon. He is very concerned, and I talked to him about it quite a bit. He's very concerned about all the different ways AI could hurt us humans. I tend to believe that there's a lot more ways in which AI can make our lives better and can make life awesome for humans. I think humans are the ones that can do a lot of evil things. So I'm less worried about AI. I'm more worried about humans.
if I look at what humans have done on the course of history, for example, in regards the planet to the scale of the universe, I think what I'm afraid is that we have more of a destructive force than a beneficial force. So if AI take that in consideration in order to protect us against ourselves, it could hurt us. I don't know if you understand. Like, what do you think about that? Does it makes you afraid sometimes? Not because of AI, but because of what humans are doing, that AI could do to us to prevent us of hurting ourselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely it can bring out the worst in human nature and provide tools for evil people to do evil things at a larger scale. But I just think it depends what you think human beings are. I tend to believe that as we get more intelligent, we start to see the value, the evolutionary value, and the value in terms of happiness of being good to each other. And I think AI, if you look at AI as an optimization problem of how to create a civilization that works well and expands throughout the universe, I think love is much more effective. So AI will help us maximize that. I think there's going to be always spikes throughout, as it has been through human history, where charismatic leaders will do evil onto the world in the name of good. You have the Stalin and the Hitlers and all of that. But ultimately, over time, I think technology will give the good people power and the evil people less power. Now, there's a lot of ways that won't be the case. There's a lot of ways for it to go wrong, and Elon talks about them. But I honestly think in terms of intelligent AI, that's going to bring more love to the world. The thing I'm concerned about is dumb AI. So there's been a lot of discussion between China and the United States recently on autonomous weapons system. This is something they're afraid to talk about, but there's now a race where the United States has officially said that they're not against adding AI to its weapon systems. So now the US military is adding automation, adding intelligence to its drones, to its anything that can create damage. And so, of course, and they did this so in response to China doing that. So you can imagine this is Terminator. You think about Terminator as intelligent systems, they're not. They're pretty dumb. The point is they're efficient at doing what they do. And in the space of war, efficient at doing what you do means killing. So that I'm really afraid of. But those are dumb AI. Those aren't your loving, deep, fulfilling relationships. That's like efficiently being able to fly, to plan the trajectory of dropping bombs, of missiles, of how to do counterattacks, of how to maximize the destruction of a particular facility instead of individuals. And then that can just escalate. And as opposed to the Cold War with the Soviet Union, this could be a hot war. And then the consequences, once you allow, it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Because currently the drones are operated by humans. So, you have say you have information about intelligence gives you information about a particular terrorist located in this area, and then you use drones to maybe the automation there is to help you figure out what is the best trajectory to strike at that location. So you still have a human that pulls the trigger at the end, dropping the bomb. Now, automation and AI in autonomous weapons systems might be where you say, there's a bad guy over here. You figure out how to get rid of the bad guy. Okay. So then, of course, the systems will be very good at finding the right trajectory and so on. But there's bugs that can happen, unexpected bugs, that the system might figure out that there is this bad guy might actually be in these other 5 locations. So might make sense to cover the entire area, right? And so you might drop bombs on the entire area. And then, that's just okay. So that's going to lead to a lot of destruction at the scale of a city. But then you can immediately take that to nuclear weapons. If you add automation to responding to counterattacks to nuclear weapons, you might get information that somebody's planning a nuclear attack on the United States, and the AI system will immediately respond. And, it can respond at a scale of launching nuclear weapons itself. And so there's all of these possibilities that don't require much intelligence. And that's exceptionally concerning.
I'm like you. I do not believe there is babies that are born bad. I think people do bad things because of their experience. However, if I look through my experience and from what I can see, is very often men of power wants more power. That's what makes me afraid with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've come from the Soviet Union. Stalin is arguably one of the most powerful humans in history. He's not talked often enough about by the evils he's done. Hitler gets all the attention, but Stalin has done arguably much more evil than Hitler. Yeah, well, this is human nature. It wants power. We see that with institutions. We see that with governments and nations. I think you see this with the internet. People are really hungry for the distribution of power. Like you see that people are very much distrustful of centralized places of power, of institutions and so on. So I think successful organizations, successful companies, successful governments will be run by people who distribute the power. Like I don't trust myself with power at all.
Yeah.
And I think you have to build into the system that no one person can have power, that you distribute it. That's where you have, in the financial sector, you have cryptocurrency right now with Bitcoin and all those kinds of things. People are exploring, how can we avoid the central bank to have the control? How do you put the power in the hands of people, thousands of people, millions of people? And in the same way with military, with any kind of, with technology, I think the future looks very distributed. So,
what do you think about militarizing space?
The Space Force, I don't think about it often because right now I'm filled with excitement about space exploration, which is the positive aspect. So Elon, I was born in an era where it was exciting. I don't know about you, but for me, it's exciting to look up to the stars and dream about us humans, colonizing Mars, colonizing other planets, expanding out to the galaxy, into the universe. That's really exciting. So I'm the possibilities there are endless. I don't think, because also the resources are endless. And so I think we get into trouble with militarization, with wars, when the resources are very constrained. So I think for a while, we're not going to be fighting. The only wars we'll be fighting in space are the ones that kind of help us.
Another nation to compete.
Yes.
Who goes to the moon first, I guess.
That's those kinds of things, or maybe for satellites and all those kinds of communication, and maybe in assistance for like cyber warfare, which is also very dangerous. But in terms of space, the wars out in space, I think I think everything out in space will be like positive and inspiring. It's very hard, but all good things are hard, I think.